In 1938, German leaders thought they had built something truly special, a machine that could instantly encrypt messages with nearly unbreakable secrecy. The Enigma machine would protect their military secrets, allowing them to wage war like never before. But what they didn't know was that a secret team of codebreakers were hard at work, toiling in silence while the fate of the world hung in the balance. During World War II, Alan Turing and his team cracked the Enigma code. It was a breakthrough that not only shortened the war, but also laid the foundation for modern computers. Now you might be thinking, wait, I learned about this in school. Yeah, me too. But trust me, there's much more to the story than you probably remember. And if you stick around till the end, I'll show you how their work is still impacting us today. From military secrets to your social media feed, encryption keeps our data safe every day. And thanks to these brilliant computer scientists, we can browse, bake, and game online with confidence. So let's dive in. So let's start with the challenge. Imagine a typewriter that changes its combination of letters every second. That's essentially what the Enigma machine did, shuffling the alphabet so that Hitler's top secret plans couldn't be deciphered by enemy spies. In fact, it could generate billions of letter combinations every day. Enigma was made up of three main parts: a keyboard, an electrical mechanism, and an output plug board. When you typed a letter on the keyboard, say A, the plug board would transmit the signal to the electrical mechanism, which would light up the corresponding letter on the output board. Now that letter wasn't A. Instead, it was the machine's current setting for A. So when someone intercepted an encrypted message saying A like 8 apples, they wouldn't necessarily know that A stood for Z. They would need to crack the code first to figure out what letter each illuminated bulb represented. And because there were so many settings to try, doing this manually was next to impossible. By 1932, it was estimated that cracking a single Enigma message could take a person over 100 million years, longer than the entire lifespan of the universe. It seemed that Enigma was truly unbreakable, which gave Germany's military a huge advantage. That is until Britain got involved. But hold on, you might be thinking, I already learned about how the British cracked the Enigma code in school. Yeah, me too. But let me add some context. Breaking the Enigma code wasn't a solo endeavor. It was the product of a massive effort involving tens of thousands of people from various allied nations who worked tirelessly in secret to bring it down. Now, while it is true that Polish mathematicians played a pivotal role in providing the British with Enigma's initial weaknesses, it was the British who made the most significant contribution. And at the center of it all was a man named Alan Turing. Before I introduce him, let's talk about the mastermind behind Enigma. The original Enigma machine was created by a man named Arthur Scherbius, a German electrical engineer. He patented it in 1918, right at the end of World War I. However, it wasn't initially intended for military use, but rather commercial applications where confidentiality was paramount, like banking. But soon enough, governments took notice and began investing in the technology. France was the first to purchase Enigma machines for diplomatic communications in the late 1920s, and seeing the potential for military advantage, Germany followed suit. By 1936, the German military was using Enigma to encrypt their most sensitive communications. Now, despite its seemingly impenetrable encryption, Enigma had some limitations. Unlike its later iterations, the initial models had a fatal flaw. They lacked a clock, meaning that the encryption changed every 26 letters rather than every second. This allowed for some clever exploitation tactics, such as exploiting the I key. Because that was the most frequently used letter in German, soldiers often used it to start their messages. So if you knew that I corresponded to E, you could decrypt the rest of the message easily. By the time the war started, though, these weaknesses had been patched. But fear not, because the Allied forces had a secret weapon, Alan Turing. Turing was a brilliant mathematician who saw the urgent need for a solution to break the Enigma code. While traditional code breaking relied on finding patterns and common sense, The sheer complexity of the Enigma machine required a new approach. So with support from the British government, he built a machine called the bomb. And no, it wasn't the name of a spy organization. It was a machine that could test thousands of Enigma settings at lightning speed, narrowing down the possibilities to just a few real options. Once the bomb found a match, operators could intercept the message and decode it. It was a brilliant invention, but it didn't happen overnight. There were many false starts, dead ends, and setbacks along the way. And even after the first successful decryption in 1939, the race was far from over. The German military made constant improvements to Enigma, creating new versions with more encryption wheels and stronger rotors. This made the machine even more complex, requiring additional innovations to keep up. But Turing and his team rose to the challenge. In the end, they were able to crack the Enigma code for over 10 years, reading over 30 million messages and providing crucial intelligence to the Allies. But hold on, you might be thinking, if the Enigma code was cracked, why did the war still last for another 5 years? Well, it turns out that despite its importance, the bomb and its operators weren't the only ones in the fight. In fact, Enigma was cracked through a combination of factors. First, the Poles had discovered that the Enigma machine used a basic form of encryption, meaning that it was susceptible to mathematical analysis. They shared this knowledge with the British, giving them a head start. Second, the German military made some critical mistakes. As I mentioned earlier, they often started messages with the letter I, providing a foothold for Allied code breakers. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, the British and American militaries combined the power of machines like the bomb with the manpower needed to analyze encrypted messages. This led to an incredible achievement that we don't often hear about: the Navajo code talkers. These Navajo Marines used their native language to transmit unbreakable messages across the Pacific. Their service is considered one of the most important contributions to the war effort, helping to ensure that no Japanese spy could ever decipher their communications. So overall, the efforts to crack the Enigma code were a triumph of human ingenuity and teamwork. No single invention or individual could have done it alone. Alright, now let's move on to the quiet impact. Now that you understand how Turing's work helped defeat the Nazis, you might be wondering what happened next. Well, after the war, Turing and his fellow code breakers continued to make important contributions to science and technology. For example, many of the techniques they developed for analyzing data are still used in artificial intelligence today. But unfortunately, Turing's story doesn't end there. In 1954, he was convicted of gross indecency for his relationship with a man named Arnold Murray. This was a crime in the UK at the time. Despite the fact that both men were consenting adults, Turing was given the choice of prison time or chemical castration, which is basically a form of hormone therapy designed to reduce sexual desire. He chose the therapy, which ultimately led to his untimely death at the age of 41. Despite the tragedy of his story, Turing's legacy lives on. His work paved the way for modern computing, and his story has inspired countless books, documentaries, and movies. If you want to learn more about his life and work, I highly recommend checking out the movie The Imitation Game starring Benedict Cumberbatch. It's a great way to pay tribute to this unsung hero. Finally, let's wrap things up with the engagement hope. Can you imagine a world without computers or the internet? Without Turing, that might have been our reality. His work not only helped to end a deadly war, but also laid the foundation for the digital age. So be sure to stay curious and keep exploring the world around you. Who knows what amazing discoveries you might make. And thank you for joining me on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe for more untold stories that shaped our world. Until then, I'll see you next time.